Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do that all important comic book review so you, the fans, can make a decision on what comic books to buy. And today, fans, we're talking about The Walking Dead issue number 138. That's right, fans, this continues my Walking Dead reviews ever since I think issue number 70 something. I've been doing this. So, just to be advised, fans, there are spoilers in my Walking Dead reviews. People really want to know what's going on with the series, and just the way I've been reviewing them for a very long time. So, with The Walking Dead, uh, last issue we got to see the whole thing with Lydia and Carl. At the end of the issue, they wind up hooking up, and you got to kind of be weary that Lydia is just this setup to get her people to come rescue her so her people can invade. So every time I try to theorize with Kirkman's writing, I'm always wrong. If I think I have it figured out, it's always wrong. I can predict the show because I've read the comics and I have an idea of where the show is going to go. But when it comes to the comic, it's always completely different. So now we get, with this issue, we get the cover here. We get to see who this leader is of the Whisperers. You know, these Whisperers have been introduced now for a while, and we finally get to see on the cover which you think is their leader. Also, in the last issue, you see Maggie. She was poisoned by Gregory, saying that he wants to be the leader of the hilltop. And you got to witness Jesus in the last issue see that she was poisoned. So she goes and falls in the ground. And the first thing what happens is freaking sits there and gives him a freaking kick right to the back. And he goes flying on the ground. And he's like, what the fuck? He's all pissed off and everything. And what happens here in the issue is you wind up seeing Jesus checking Maggie's pulse, and you wind up finding out if she's alive or if she's dead. And let's just say that Maggie is not dead. And the funny thing is that Maggie makes this comment in the actual issue. She's just like, you want to be the leader of a hilltop, and you don't even know how to poison someone correctly. And it's just a funny part in the actual issue. And then you find out that, Carl and Lydia wind up finishing up doing their thing here. And we wind up finding out that the way Carl and I guess Lydia hooked up here was very clumsy but sweet. It was very innocent, and it meant something to her. Where you find out that in her group with these Whisperers, that you get the sense that they were raping her, and it wasn't wanted. And Carl takes this to an offense, and she's saying they're making you do things, that you don't want. And we find out that Lydia here has some true feelings towards this world. That's what we find out getting, that she wants to stay with Carl and she wants to stay here, and it seems genuine here. It didn't seem like she was faking her personality. It seemed like she genuinely wanted to be here. And he was trying to say, well, you don't have to go back. You just talk to Maggie. You stay here and do what you have to do. And the next thing you wind up seeing is, just as that conversation ends, Maggie is being summoned to right outside her gates, and you wind up seeing this nice two-page spread here with the book, and you wind up seeing that there's a whole bunch of the Whisperers waiting outside and the leaders up front. And the first thing you wind up seeing is that the leader winds up revealing herself here, and her name is Alpha. And she is a female, and it looks like she shaved her head or whatnot. And she comes there, and she comes to retrieve her daughter. So the leader here of these Whisperers is her daughter. And we find out that Dante and the other guy that was lost, the Whisperers wind up having them in possession. So she proposed a trade to Maggie, saying, let me have my daughter, I'll let you have your friends. And they were unharmed. They wound up fixing the broken leg and whatnot, and it wound up being this thing that wound up working out for them. This equal trade. However, Carl did not want this to happen in the issue. We wind up finding out that Carl was totally against this trade because Lydia doesn't want to go back to where she came from. She is realizing that there is a different way of society, not the way that she's been grown up with, and she wants to stay there, and Carl wants her to stay there. And he's not saying that his friends weren't important, but he wants Lydia to stay. But if we don't do this trade, Maggie is trying to convince him, if we don't do this trade, all hell can break loose. And Alpha warns Maggie here. So after a kiss goodbye, and really Lydia not saying anything with this trade, she winds up walking away and going with her mother. And she's not even allowed to be called Mom. She's supposedly called Alpha again. So very interesting things that have developed here. So as Carl is very upset, Sophia looks for Carl in his room, and we notice that he is not there. And we wind up finding out that he's going out on his own to track down Lydia and the rest of the Whisperers. So it'll be interesting to see where that actually goes. I think it's an obvious reason here of what's going on with Carl. He feels important, he feels loved, and besides his father, this is the first time he's had sex, so he's a little bit whipped at the same time. But he generally cares for her and wants what's best for her. And again, those feelings towards Carl and towards the Hilltop from Lydia felt genuine here, where at first I thought she was completely full of shit, and that she was leading him on to bring her people here to take him over. And that was completely opposite. The people just said, let's make a trade. We do this trade. Don't step on my lands. Don't interact with my people. We'll be fine. And I was expecting this all-out brawl, and it just didn't happen. And I was like, oh, wow. But this is not going to be the last of them, because Carl's going on this adventure to go find her, and I feel that this is going to kick something off. We still don't know very much about them. We just found out with Ken and Dante that they were just held blindfolded the whole time. They were fed like venison and rabbit and things like that. And yeah, so they're still very mysterious. Another thing with this issue is we didn't see any zombies here, which, this book, by now is not about the zombies. We haven't seen any Rick in this issue. And the one thing that we still haven't seen here in a very long time, folks, is Michonne. Ever since this book has gone in its time skip of 2 years since issue number 127, we have not seen Michonne at all. And it's been a very, very long time. You're talking 11 issues now that she's not in this. So I found this issue very interesting. Now, The Walking Dead is a great book. I think it reads phenomenally in trade, but I just can't wait for the trades. I have to read its single issues, but when I'm done reading The Walking Dead, I'm always left with wanting more. But that's what makes Robert Kirkman genius in its own right. It's because of the cliffhangers that he presents to his readers that keeps the readers wanting to read this book even more. So after reading this issue, it was really interesting to see all the things that happened here, and I can't wait. I also can't wait to see what happens with Gregory. That guy's got thrown in a jail cell, and at first I thought Jesus was going to kill him, but again, you can't predict what's going to happen in this book. They want society. They don't want to kill people. They want to do things the right way. They throw them in jail, and that's what happens there. So again, great stuff. So after reading this one, I gotta rate this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Not a lot of action. It read really, really quickly, like 5 minutes. I just found myself wanting more. I wanted like a double-sized issue, or I wanted twice a month, something like that. But great issue here, guys. Definitely suggest that you read this. And if you want to read it, I think the newest trade may have just come out. I'm not sure. But again, pick it up from issue 127. So, guys, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. Leave me your comments below on what you thought of The Walking Dead issue number 138. Are you tired of it, or do you love it? Are you just as excited as I am still? I am excited as I always will be since issue number 1. So fans, again, thanks for watching, and until next comic book review, it's Mike Spider signing off. Take care, guys.